TheTicketFM.com. Proceeds from the night will be donated to the Aubrey Bound Club.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
MWR, a local company of Lincoln, is proud to announce they are able to offer their own post-frame building packages in metal to anyone desiring a building, whether you're a contractor or a DIYer. They can install your building as always, and they offer multiple different rib profiles and loads of color options, including the wood grain metal at great competitive prices. You can inquire at mwrbuildingandfence.com or just draw your desired building and submit it in their contact us page and they'll get back to you. Call MWR today at 402-540-8966.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America. Welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome in at Ticket Weeknights. Harrison Arns on the ones and twos. No serve in volley tonight. That will restart next week. We'll cover a little bit of volleyball, and of course, that is with the Nebraska volleyball assistant coach Jalen Reyes every Tuesday from 7 to 8 p.m. But tonight, just a little bit different. I got Tristan Gomez, always known as Gomes, around here at 93.7 The Ticket. 402-464-5685 if you want to join in. No, Tristan, what is your last name?
It's Gomez. Depends on Austin chooses every other day which one he wants to call me, Gomes or Gomez, but it's Gomez.
It is indeed. And, well, quickly, before we dive into everything else, you did get to call your first high school game. Color commentator alongside Austin Norman. I was tuning in for a bit. How was the action in that one?
Yeah, Lincoln Southwest is actually unbelievable. One of the better high school teams that I've seen play. It was pretty fun, though. Austin can talk extremely quick and kind of just take it away. And so it was nice when I could get my 2 cents in there and do a little bit of the color commentating. But it was a lot of fun. And, yeah, Lincoln Southwest is a force to be reckoned with. Their only loss coming to Westside, who I think right now is the number 1 team in the state. So,
and you're from Lincoln, right?
From Omaha. Went to Millard West.
Okay. I was going to ask you what your insight was for the current powerhouses in Lincoln, Nebraska right now. Because the Omaha, there's not a whole lot of change from last year, is there?
No, it's usually always Westside. Central will always have a good team every so often. Same with Bellevue West. Those are kind of the juggernauts, I'd say.
All right. Well, hopefully one of these times Lincoln can knock down one of those Omaha powerhouses. But we'll still have plenty of high school basketball games right here on 93.7 The Ticket to be calling. I do believe that we do not have one this week, but we'll make up for it next week on Tuesday. With that being said, though, I do want to talk Husker volleyball before we dive into the college football playoffs as we Big Ten back-to-back champs. Well, actually 3 years in a row.
Yeah, three-peat.
The repeat. Michigan, and then Ohio State, and now Indiana. Before we get to that, though, Husker volleyball. It's the off season, but we've talked about it before, and I want your thoughts on this. 2 years in a row, not one player has hit the portal for Nebraska volleyball. What does that say to you about the way that program is run? Despite having John Cook leaving, you bring in Danny Busboom Kelly. Like I said, 2 years, total stability.
Yeah, I think it just goes to show just the culture that this Nebraska team has. I think for a lot of other schools, you could have a good year in football, for example. I mean, we've seen plenty of guys that are transferring. You go, why would this guy transfer? Like, he's already a starter here. He's got everything made. And then obviously the money comes into it. But for a school like Nebraska, NIL-wise, volleyball-wise, you're the sport besides basketball now that has really just put this university on its back. And I think when you just have a group of girls, even in any sport, you have a team full of people that just enjoy being around with each other, and then you have a season that ended like it just did this past season. I think every single one of them probably had that idea of, why would I go somewhere else when I have my best friends here and we were so close to doing something so special? Let's run it back. So I think that's kind of the thought process. And then for Coach Busboom Kelly, it's just, how do you retain these players and you have that culture? You let them know that, you see the human side of them. You care for them on the court and off the court. And I think that's what she does as a coach.
Yeah, and you see a lot of that. The team bonded around her, what felt like pretty quickly. You never heard one bad story out of that place, which is always a good thing to see, especially when you're going from a legendary head coach that is John Cook into the next potential legendary coach, although she's got quite a resume already, even before Nebraska. Obviously, what she did over there at Louisville was impressive, so I don't know if anyone's too surprised by it. But it was unreal just watching them go undefeated in the regular season. And the worst thing for Husker volleyball that it's just been a pain is you beat Nebraska, you win the championship, and you sweep your way through it. It was that case last year. What was it, Penn State?
Yep.
Where they fell short in the semifinals, and then Penn State just walks in there and sweep it. Easy. No problem at all. And, of course, I think they ended up – did Louisville make it to the championship game, or they also get out in the semifinals?
I'm trying to think, because it was Texas A&M and possibly Louisville.
402-464-5685. If you guys remember, you can chime in. It's not all that important to my point. It's really just a bummer that Nebraska seems to lose to the champion. So, to your point, I mean, they are right there. And especially, you play that Texas A&M match, the fourth or I want to say it's the fourth set goes to 37-35 and goes to 5 sets. You fall short. They win at 13-15. But then Texas A&M just sweeps everybody. And it doesn't even look close. And I imagine that's the parts that got to be incredibly frustrating, but also a big part to stay is you're right there.
Yeah. I mean, you pretty much know, like, that game was the national championship.
Yeah, 100%.
In a sense. I mean, that's kind of how it feels after that, because that Nebraska team knows, all right, we beat Texas A&M. We probably do the same thing and sweep everyone else the rest of the way. And so I think, you have that feeling of just knowing we were pretty much the runner up. Like, we pretty much were the second, I think they were still the best team in the country. You have that game played, 10 times. I still think Nebraska wins that game majority of the time. And so it just comes down to, you're pretty much the second best team in the country. How are you going to respond to it? And I think all those girls kind of just said, if we're going to win a national championship, it's going to be this group.
Yeah, and it's interesting, because you go look at that volleyball team, and like I said, I think if you play that 10 times, it's probably pretty close. Maybe a 6-4, and that's, I'll tip my cap to Texas A&M. They were really impressive. Not only why they beat Nebraska, they went on to sweep everybody else to go get that national championship trophy. Always stings a little bit with the Trev Alberts decision that he made a while ago. But nonetheless, it's a great start, and it's optimistic to see that nobody's leaving that program. They're all still locked in. And you got a great coach in Danny Busboom Kelly. And, of course, he has a show. It's over highlighting volleyball now, so we don't miss it. Jalen Ray is the assistant coach. Let's see here. That's right. Shout out to Gino. It was Wisconsin, Texas, Texas A&M, and Kentucky. That was the lineup right there. So appreciate it. Shout out Gino again. 402-464-5685.
I think another very impressive part about just this Husker volleyball team and just the culture that they have is for so many other sports nowadays, we're seeing the transfer portal has just been dominant. Is you're going out of your way to, get different athletes out of the transfer portal. I almost think that a little bit of it shows that it's tough to develop players a ton. That's why, Nebraska for football, their high school recruiting class only has 11 guys, I believe, which is unbelievable to think that a football collegiate recruiting class only has 11 guys coming out of high school.
When you're putting 100 plus dudes on the roster, what is it, 120? What's the new rule? They had to cut it down.
They had to cut it down a little bit. I'm not sure exactly.
120s, I want to say, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less. But to your point, it's a big roster. You got 11 guys that you're going to be developing.
Yeah, and that's because development is so hard when you can go and you can find other people in the portal that, have already, been there, done that, got a whole bunch of playing time, under their belt. And for this volleyball team, they have, and it goes to John Cook as well, because he was the one that got plenty of these girls here. But it's just they show up here and they progressively get better and better and better, and they stay because of the culture that they have. So just, the development and the retainment out of this Husker volleyball program, super impressive.
Yeah, and hopefully next year, I mean, I'm not anticipating anything else. It's a much better problem to have for volleyball. You have to wait till you get to the bracket. Decide, like, you're going to watch this team. They're going to be awesome. Start the regular season unless catastrophic things happen. But I think all of us feel pretty good about, I don't want to say they're going to go undefeated again. I think the Big Ten will certainly upgrade. This, you could argue, was a weaker year for the Big Ten and certainly showed it in the bracket. But they're going to reload, undefeated or not. They're going to put themselves in a really good position to be in the tournament again. And we'll just have to wait and see. Football, November, we kind of know. For volleyball, you have to almost get to the championship or whoever that championship's going to be, because like I said, Nebraska's had an unfortunate road of constantly seeming to meet those guys outside of that championship game. Let's see here. Football roster is 105 now. Okay, so I was over by quite a bit. Shout out Gino. He's on top of things. 402-464-5685. All right, let's talk College Football National Championship, Big Ten three-peat, Michigan, Ohio State, and now Indiana. Not even an SEC team in it this year. It was Miami. Shout out to the ACC. What are your thoughts on that game? Hoosiers won it 27-21.
Yeah, honestly, I was extremely impressed by Miami's defense. I think it was a little chippy. I think, at halftime, Cignetti gets his, halftime interview, and he's saying there should have been 3 roughing the passer calls or personal fouls that should have been called. And they were playing a little hard. But for a national championship, I think if it does really get out of hand, then you'll throw the flag. But, you want to let him play. You don't want to leave it.
There's maybe one in there. I could see the flag, but the guy wasn't looking his way, so I can see why they didn't call it. It didn't look like it was intentional.
Yeah.
He just didn't, full stop and juke out of the way. He just kind of like jogged through his run, and that's where Mendoza got the bloody lip.
Yeah.
And anytime you got a bloody lip, the coach is going to have a pretty good argument to make something, but I can actually see why the refs weren't throwing those flags.
Yeah, I appreciate that they didn't, and I was very impressed just with how Miami's defense played and kept it close. I think that game yesterday, you get to the fourth quarter, I think it showed how much that Indiana was just the best team in college football, because the plenty of teams we've seen in those positions before where you've been dominant all year, you've won by big margins of victory pretty much all season, and then the going gets tough in the fourth quarter, and it seemed like Indiana just had it under control. They drive down the field, take plenty of time off the clock. Fernando Mendoza gets in the end zone.
Incredible run,
too. What a gutsy play call, too.
Really
gutsy. It made sense. I guess they had the linebacker QB spy right there, but when you watch the play, it was wide open. He just had to, make one move, get a little.
I don't know how many people are predicting Mendoza to take off though like that.
No, and especially I think after you're Miami's defense and you've been getting crushed by the back shoulder fade all night, you're like, all right, we're not letting this happen. We're not letting Mendoza have a free, easy conversion here, and then he just does it with his legs. And then I thought he was just going to get the first down, and then he finds his way into the end zone.
Yeah, he's just coming down and he plants his hand on the ground, and he is man, he's not. He's athletic, but he's like kind of that. I don't even know if Taylor Martinez is the right word. Like, he doesn't have good speed, really good balance. I'll give him that. Like, he's got incredible balance, and I think that's also what makes him such a good quarterback, because he's always got proper footing, and you see that his mechanics are super good, and I think that's something that plays into his scrambling ability.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a little comparison between him and like Joe Burrow when he was at LSU, which he never needed to really run the ball. Like Joe Burrow never needed to, but there was every so often that he did, and you were like, oh, Joe Burrow just made a guy miss, or you just never expected because they can air it out so well and they have so much time in the pocket. And then when they do run, you're pretty impressed by it. And he's a big dude too. I mean, I think plenty of times you just look at him on TV and he's surrounded by his ginormous offensive linemen, but you're like, oh wow, he is a big dude.
Yeah, he's definitely. I mean, he's bigger than. When you're going up against Miami, you're going to look a little bit smaller. Yeah. I mean, that defense was incredibly good, and that's why Miami ended up there. And same thing with Indiana's defense. Some of the key things that, you could argue the game came down to: third down conversions. It wasn't too much of a breakaway. I mean, it was actually pretty close there. Indiana had more third down conversions, but they weren't super efficient. They were 6 for 16, and Miami was 3 for 11. Total yards, Miami actually would win that. 342 to Indiana's 317. Passing yards, Indiana had less than Miami, 186 to 232. Completion percentage, that did go Indiana's favor. About same on yards per pass. Rushing yards, that's where Indiana did beat them out by about 20, 131 to 110. And they were also picking up more yards per average. But then the turnovers, one crucial turnover for Miami. They throw that one pick. Penalties, pretty split even. The game was much better than I think a lot of people anticipated, unless you thought it was going to be close. I was thinking Indiana might run away with it.
I didn't think it was going to be close at all. I thought Indiana was going to run away with it and kind of be not similar to that Oregon game, because that Oregon game started with a pick six and then another fumble that sets Indiana up first and goal. But I kind of did expect Indiana to, go score on the first drive, get a stop, score on the second drive, and just kind of start putting it away. And I didn't really feel extremely confident, just like Indiana has this in the bag, until the blocked punt for the touchdown.
Yeah.
And then when that happened, I just thought, okay, it's over. And then Miami responded extremely well. So kudos to Miami. I think after their losses in the regular season to Louisville and SMU, a lot of people just counted them out, but they played unbelievable in this playoffs. And you could argue is, maybe the second best defense in the country behind Indiana.
Yeah. I mean, I thought Indiana was the best defense because of that Ohio State game.
Yeah.
Where they shut down Ohio State.
Mhm.
Alabama wasn't, Alabama versus Indiana. I wasn't overly impressed. I mean, I thought they looked great, but I was like, Alabama can't run the ball against anybody. So a little bit one-dimensional, easier to set up a defense. Now, they executed phenomenally, but I was like, we'll see what they do when they go play Julian Say and Ohio State. They got a little bit more of a balance.
Mhm.
Didn't really change a lot. Indiana was still pretty dominant. And same thing with Miami. I think you make the argument that's how they got here. For Miami, is Bain a senior? Absolute menace.
He's unbelievable.
Yesterday.
I mean, I think they continue to talk like I think he's a top 5 pick easily.
Yeah, let me double check on his. Okay, so he's a junior. He's probably gone though.
He's gone. He has to be because I think in my head I don't know who goes at number 2 now. I mean, I don't even know if it would have been Dante Moore, but I think Fernando goes 1-1. I think there's no second thought about that. And then I think Bain is the guy.
He's a nightmare.
He was unbelievable.
He was the one guy that was like, if Indiana is going to have a crucial turnover, like Bain's going to light somebody up.
Yeah.
Like he's going to be the guy to swing this game for him. Because he wasn't for Ohio State. They swung Sawyer last year.
Yeah.
You had that one big defensive play, and I was like, that's kind of felt like I thought Bain was playing so good in that game. I was like, he might have a play where he just takes over, and he did make some crucial stops, but I think they're really just looking for that one turnover because we talked about it. Indiana, especially down the stretch when Miami started coming back, they just cool and methodical. They didn't really lose their composure, and they played a really good game because it was, looking at the quarters here, you get to 10-0 at half. Third quarter, you both score 7, and then Miami actually outscores Indiana in that fourth quarter, but Indiana does just enough. They get 10, and obviously a lot of the Mendoza run, all of that polishes off. But one of the better college football playoffs. Does this set the road for Indiana just being the team for years to come? It was funny listening to Paul Feinbaum. It's been blowing up all over on Twitter because it was about like midseason. I think they just beat Oregon, and he's like, these guys, they're not them yet. We got to see what it looks like when they play some of these really good SEC teams and that age like milk.
Yeah.
How good is this team? Like, are they going to be the team to watch for as long as Cignetti is standing there? Because again, like 1 5-star, maybe 0 5-star,
maybe 0 5-star,
and just a handful at most of 4 stars. And then you look at, the 50 plus 4 and 5 stars combined for Miami and everybody else in these playoffs that aren't named James Madison and Tulane.
Yeah, I mean, Curt Cignetti, he's kind of put it out there that he looks for production instead of the potential. He wants to find the guys that have played 3-4 years of college football that have 1 or 2 more years, and he just knows, I've seen what the production that you've had. You're a guy that can play at an elite level, at the Division I level, and those are the guys I feel like he's going to continue to bring in. And then also, you never saw penalties. Like, you never saw boneheaded plays. They were number 1 in the country in turnover margin. Like, they took care of the ball and they forced takeaways. I think that's something that is instilled in a team through their coach. So whether Indiana has the number 1 recruiting class or doesn't, they're going to be disciplined. Do I think they're going back to back? I don't know. I mean, no one does. But are they like the team to beat next year? 100%.
It's fascinating. Like, I think they'll 100% be the team to beat. I feel good about them reloading. Transfer portal is obviously extended window for those guys, so they're gonna, I'd imagine, get their pick of the litter here. Now that I don't know if they still have as much money as some of these other schools, but if you have guys that want to get their name out there, like how many people would have thought Mendoza was going to be the first guy off the board? Yeah. Most likely. Going to Indiana, probably not. And then same thing last year with Curtis Rourke. I couldn't tell you what Rourke's doing now, but Curtis Rourke was an absolute animal for Indiana, and he looked really good in that offense, and they had a phenomenal year. They go lose, I think it was Notre Dame in the college football playoffs a year before. But he's been able to take Curtis Rourke, make him look like a real threat in the Big Ten, and then Mendoza, who, again, like, what is he, 1 star? 2 star?
2 star.
Yeah, not highly recruited, and he makes him into one of the best-looking QBs. Whether that's Cignetti or just how good Mendoza was, the fact that he did it with Curtis Rourke the year prior just makes me feel like this team's going to reload. And they got a really good staff. That staff's still together from James Madison to Indiana. I think that's the other part. Schools that can manage continuity, they're just going to have such an edge where I think that's why you get to, when talk about Nebraska football here, some people got some sour feelings about it because not that we're all convinced it's not going to work no matter what, although some people might say that. Without continuity, you just don't know.
Yeah.
And with Indiana, you got a pretty good idea. Just about all those coaches, I haven't seen any of them in major positions that are going to be going anywhere else. Curt Cignetti, unless he's going to the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think they're all right there. Like Indiana, I think it's a team to beat. What's to say about the SEC before we go to break?
anyone can be good when everyone can pay their players. That's kind of just my thought. No, I'm just kidding. I think it just goes to show that the Big Ten is for real and how much NIL does play a part in it. Nick Saban left for this exact reason. And so I think it just goes to show that what an impact the transfer portal has had. I think the Big Ten has dominated that immensely because, the Big Ten, Ohio State, Michigan, they've always gotten those big recruits, even guys, from Florida or down south. But now, previously it was the SEC that dominated, all those great states with high school football in Georgia and Florida and, Mississippi and all them. The SEC got all those guys. Now with the transfer portal, the Big Ten, they're recruiting all over the country, and it's a place where people want to go because you're going to get paid and you're going to play under great coaches, with Cignetti or Ohio State or even
Fitzgerald's at Michigan State now.
Exactly.
And he's another phenomenal coach that you got to worry about.
Yeah, like there's a lot of really good coaches where I feel like in the SEC that you always use the excuse of, every week is a tough week. But after we watch these college football playoffs, I think it's down in the trenches is where these Big Ten teams are really dominating.
Yeah, the SEC, it happens every year. And that's why the AP poll is so stupid for preseason. Because you get the preseason AP poll, and then it's like first week, number 10 LSU versus number 5 Clemson.
Yeah.
And, you go watch the game. It's like, I don't know if any of them were all that impressive. Oh, but tune in next week. They got number 18, South Carolina. And it's like, well, you guys are all ranked, and you're just playing each other. So you're just going to be trading rankings. And until you get to some real cross-play, we don't know. And then you get to the bowl games. And then they have a bad record in the bowl games. Then you get to the college football playoffs, and it's a three-peat for the Big Ten. And, they can use the argument, well, it's because not all guys are playing. That's the same story for the Big Ten. It's been interesting to see. I do think a big part of it is money. You think about the Big Ten universities, these are big money schools.
Yeah.
Like, these Big Ten schools have a boatload of money. SEC schools, they do as well. But I'd imagine these Big Ten institutions make, I don't want to say significantly more, but enough to make a noticeable difference on what they can pay their players. And then when you look at the SEC, they were just paying guys. We can just say it. Straight up.
Yeah.
Some Big Ten schools probably were as well. I'm not saying there was only the SEC. It's still one of my favorite segments. You remember, I think it was Pat McAfee calling out Nick Saban on TV about paying his players.
Was it Pat and Shane Gillis? Because I think Shane Gillis was on there too, and Shane Gillis called out
Alabama Jones.
Yeah, Alabama Jones, and was like, "Yep, everyone can be good when they start paying players too." And
Nick Saban's like, we never did that.
We never did that. Yeah, he did not like that. Nick Saban might have not been the one that was handing over the cash, but he had someone in that department.
Yeah, turn a blind eye. It's just crazy. I do think that's a big part of it. To your point, I know you kind of said it tongue in cheek, but that is a big part of it. Is now everyone can pay their players. Not every SEC school was doing it, but certainly somewhere. Not every Big Ten school was doing it, but certainly somewhere. Well, now it's all legal. So now everyone, if they have the money, knock Warren Buffett anytime,
It would be really nice.
Yeah, a nice little paycheck to the university.
Mark Cuban finally, pulled out his checkbook. If Warren Buffett could do it, that would be great.
Michigan's got Dave Portnoy. Although I heard those numbers are inflated, that he's not, which I can believe, but nearly as much money.
I've heard that most NIL numbers are inflated. So if a guy's getting $8 million, or his worth is at $8 million or something like that, he's definitely making quite a bit less than that.
Yeah, because what's the number for Dante Moore coming back? 7.5?
7.5, which I'm not sure if that's just right out of
that's insanity.
Phil Knight just said, here you go, or what, but that's crazy.
Yeah, when he announced that he wasn't going to the NFL, he was coming back, I was like, well, how much you paying him? That was even higher than I thought.
Yeah. When he went on TV, like it was during, I can't remember what show, but when he went on, I totally thought, all right, he's going on to say, yeah, I'm going to the draft. Also, how he did it on TV, I was like, this is not a LeBron. I'm going to South Beach. I'm like, this is not a LeBron. I'm going to South Beach decision. Like, just post on Twitter or post on Instagram or something. Like, but no, I'm glad he's coming back.
Yeah, that's right. I always forget. You're the Oregon fan.
I am.
Well, since we're on, before we go to break, I forget. You're an Oregon fan. What's your connection there?
My whole dad's side of the family's from Eugene.
Okay, so you got a connection.
Yeah, and then my girlfriend graduated from Oregon, so I got a few reasons. Growing up, everyone thought I was just a bandwagon, but
I thought I'd put you in that camp sometimes, so I have to add. I get the family connections. It's better than I give Austin Orman crap all the time for being a Duke fan.
Yeah.
You grew up in Lincoln, Nebraska. What have
you saw a team that was good, and you just said, yeah, here we go. This is my squad.
Pretty much. And I like Coach K, too. It was a phenomenal run. But nonetheless, Dylan Raiola, he's at Oregon. Dante Moore's coming back. So before we wrap up on this segment, what does that look like?
I'm really curious. Honestly, I was hoping that Royal was not going to be the starter, so Dante coming back, I think, is huge. And for Dante, I think this is a great, or for Dylan, I think it's a great opportunity to, really focus on his recovery, sit for a year.
Yeah, that's a big part.
Some of the other schools that seemed interested, you heard rumors for, like Louisville or Syracuse. Do you really see Dylan Raiola going to the NFL from those universities if he just goes there and starts? Maybe not. Where at Oregon, he'll be surrounded by weapons, hopefully have a good offensive line, and get a year to really focus on recovery and, work under Dante, who hopefully next year is a first-round pick again. But
yeah, I mean, I'm not worried. I think Dante Moore, people were really slamming on him for that Indiana game, and it's like, good luck versus that Indiana team.
I mean, Julian Sain looked terrible too. Every quarterback. I mean, Carson Beck didn't look awful, but did not look comfortable in this game. No one looked good against Indiana.
No, not this year. Outside of Iowa.
Outside of Iowa, yeah. Ty Simpson, who was also supposed to be a first-rounder, he looked absolutely atrocious and left that game. So
yeah, who are all the first-rounders that kind of faded out? You had Sellers. He didn't have the season that he wanted. Nussmeier.
Aller.
Yeah, that's right. Well, injury, that one makes sense.
Yeah.
Dylan Raiola. No, I don't know how many people have that on the board. But we were hoping for it, at least here in the city of Lincoln, Nebraska. Is Dayton committed to Oregon?
No.
Okay. I didn't think he was.
I think his only offers are still from App State and someone else.
All right. We'll leave that alone. I know people get tired of talking about Dylan Raiola, but I say it all the time. We're on here for 18 hours a day. Every now and then we're going to cross over on some of those topics. All right. Don't go anywhere. We'll talk some Husker hoops. I think that's fitting. Yep. Well, actually, we'll do NFL, then Husker hoops. We'll keep it football a little bit longer. Don't go anywhere. This is Ticket Weeknights. It's myself, Harrison Arns. I got Tristan Gomez to my left. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a little bit.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Why are some people more successful? Is it talent and determination, or did they recognize an opportunity? Discover a career that lets you help families reach their financial goals as you build lasting professional relationships. One with unlimited income potential. From Modern Woodman, a leading fraternal financial services provider.
I'm Modern Woodman Regional Director Sean Erickson. Call me at 402-483-6515 to learn about career opportunities.
Modern Woodman of America. Touching lives, securing futures.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket immediately after every Nebraska men's basketball game for 1 hour of post-game recap. The Nebraska Basketball Postgame Show is sponsored by Union Bank and Trust, John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electrical, and the Lincoln Airport on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Sometimes good people make mistakes. When you find yourself in need of an attorney, call Liberty Law Group. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group will defend you in court and protect your freedom to get you the best possible outcome and the justice you deserve. Trust your freedom to Liberty Law Group, the best criminal attorneys in Nebraska and Iowa. Call them today at 877-404-5238. That's 877-404-5238. Or check them out online at libertylawgroup.com.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription, or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Tired of asking what's for dinner? Nourished for Life has got you covered. At Nourished, they're a local meal prep company that delivers fresh, chef-crafted, healthy meals straight to your door. Made from wholesome ingredients and ready when you are. No shopping, no chopping. Just heat, eat, and enjoy every night of the week. Fuel your busy days with balanced meals that are designed to keep you satisfied and energized. Visit nourishedforlife.co to purchase meals and taste the convenience of home-cooked comfort without the hassle.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins'. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
Pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contests, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
Back to The Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in. Second segment. You guys have been great all night long. Sorry to him, text. I know he's open. 402-464-5685. I promised NFL, but I forgot a major talking point. Mike Eckler, officially gone. USC. Has not been clarified whether he's special teams or defensive coordinator, although I'd have to imagine it's a defensive coordinator position. I don't think he would leave Nebraska just to go be a special teams coordinator somewhere else. What are your thoughts on that? As, I'll give my quick 2 cents on it. Special teams have been atrocious for a long time. We fixed them. And I always go with the argument. I think you could make a serious case that Nebraska won 3 games, or at the very least prevented 3 losses because the special teams game was good, and it was actually an advantage. That three phases of the game. We seem to be hitting like 1 out of 3 every year. It's the defense, and then the offense and special team struggles. It's the special teams, and now unfortunately the defense and offense kind of struggled this year. What are your thoughts on it? Because I think if we recline in that area again, I'm very nervous, especially for next season.
Yeah, I'm curious if there was any bad blood just when John Butler was let go and Eckler wasn't the guy that stepped into that role or filled that position, and maybe that was just an unspoken thing that Eckler wanted was, okay, John Butler's out, I'll be the guy, and didn't really bring it up or anything, and then Matt Rule went elsewhere with it. I think that could possibly have been something, and then, money always talks. You could have maybe seen that USC saw, the fire and the energy that Mike Eckler brought to this team just in general, because he was the excitement. It's crazy that when you would look over at the Husker sideline, whether you're at Memorial Stadium or watching on TV, you would see Mike Eckler being the guy that's getting him fired up. And when that's the special teams coach and maybe not an offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator, that's kind of tough to see, just because for how much of college football is the defense and the offense, when the special teams guy is the guy that's bringing the most energy. I think a lot of other schools probably saw that and said, this is a guy that would be great to have on our sidelines. But I'm really surprised by the lack of retention, or how Matt Rule didn't, because he said he might leave, but it was more like, are you doing anything to keep him?
Right.
Because he, like you said, special teams was a weapon and kept Nebraska in plenty of games this year and saved them multiple times.
Yeah, and that's my fears. Yeah, we just talked about what I think Indiana makes them good, and a lot of it's continuity, not only with the players but the coaching staff. And then when you look at Nebraska, it's like, okay, like we'll just go through the track record. It's year 1, you got Matt Rule, Satterfield, Tony White, Ed Foley, head coach and special teams coordinators. Tony White goes. Understandably, you can't make everyone want to stay. He went over down there to Florida State, along with a very important player for Nebraska, apparently, at one point in time. And then, of course, you have to make a switch with Satterfield. Was that towards the end of year 1, or was that year 2, in the middle of year 2?
I think that was the middle of year 2.
Okay, so you stick with Satterfield into next season.
Yeah.
Or either way, you move on from Satterfield regardless.
Mhm.
You also eventually move on from Ed Foley. You're kind of switching your coaches, and then you bring in Terry Brad, and that one didn't work out. Now you're going to bring in Corey Brown as a defensive line coach. You know, and then with the defensive coordinator, you let go of John Butler. You bring in Ulrich. And with Dan Holgerson, I guess we feel good there. There's not a lot of continuity is what I'm trying to hit that here.
Yeah,
I don't know where we're going.
Yeah, that's the tough thing. It's just Matt Rule said in a conference that, Bill Belichick told him that it takes 3 years to find the right guys and have the right guys on your staff. But it's tough as a player when everything is just in motion. You never get comfortable. You're even position coaches are leaving or going elsewhere, or they're getting a bigger role, so you're with them a little less. And so it just makes it tough to really get comfortable and, track your development. And then, it's the same thing as just players nowadays is, if something's greener on the other side or something's not going well, then I'm going to go elsewhere. And I think in order for Nebraska to, get some momentum, get some rhythm, there has to be some things that stay constant, whether it is coaching. And hopefully Holgerson is that guy, and the offense continues to grow and elaborate with, Calandria or Latif this upcoming year. But yeah, there has not been much continuity at all.
No, and I always got to say this because I'd imagine, through some coach, like if Matt Rule is ever listening, I'd imagine he's like, these knuckleheads, they don't know.
He's probably got a bigger plan.
Yeah, I'm not banking on this is all doomed to fail. Like they don't know what they're doing. I'm just saying from the outside perspective, when you see a lot of this stuff going on, like it makes sense why people are anxious and they're not really sure because, we're call it what you want. It is somewhat of a, reprogramming of the compass on what we need to do. And without that continuity, it's tough. It's one thing with Donovan Raiola. I know a lot of people weren't super high on him as an offensive line coach, but I always kind of did the Donovan Raiola where I did the coach's game with him as well. It's like, okay, who's your offensive coordinator? Scott Frost. Okay, it's not working. He's going to give up some of those plays. He had like a coordinator at one point. Then they bring in Lubick to take over. Okay, this isn't really working. Okay, now let's bring in Whipple. Like, you're just tearing through offensive coordinators. And if you're Donovan Raiola, you're working with a new OC every year. Sometimes in the middle of the year, you're switching over. And you got that dynamic of, okay, what do we really want our offense to look like? And I forgot to mention, now we have Jeep Wade, new offensive line coach, which, again, I like the hire, but we'll see if that continuity can stay.
Yeah, especially with the new hire in Jeep. I'm curious just what his mindset is because, we have to be completely honest. There were times last year where it probably wasn't a coaching problem that some of the sacks happened. And also some of them could have been on Raiola as well of, not throwing the ball away or trying to do too much or not, having the best scrambling ability. And so for some situations, it's all right, how much is on the coach? But then are the coaches on different pages about what this identity for this offense should be? Because at some games you could tell it was like, yeah, Nebraska really wants to air it out downfield, but they have zero time for that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Or other games where it goes, all right, whoever we're playing, they're thinking stop Emmett Johnson or we're full on pass rushing Dylan Raiola. Like that's all we have two things we can decide to do. And so I think Nebraska just needs to continue to find your identity. Your identity isn't something you just choose. It has to be something you find. But hopefully going into this, season, this is what our offense is going to be. I think with Calandria, if he's the guy, or Latif, two guys that can scramble and make some things happen.
At least they're similar, right?
Yeah.
Like you can, I'd imagine, create a more similar playbook where if one goes down, you're.
Do you think that was tough for Holgerson and just, the whole team and the whole offense in general is just going from a pocket passing quarterback to way more of a dual threat in Latif, who is more comfortable running the ball probably than passing it looked at times. While Dylan, we want him to drop back and sling the rock a little bit.
I definitely think it makes it way harder than it needs to be. We can go just look at Utah, right? Like when Dampier was in there, I'm blanking on the backup's name. Backup did the same thing, played the same way, and that offense was just as effective. The line didn't have to make adjustments. The wide receivers kind of knew what it looked like still. And when you go from Dylan Raiola to TJ Latif, the games are different, right? I'd imagine TJ Latif's going to be a lot more of those quick throws. He's going to take off and run more. You got to be used to him. If he's going to go out there and scramble, how does he want to go find you guys? Whereas Dylan Raiola, he's going to sit in that pocket and, he might make a last-second bailout left-handed throw. They just all have these little different wrinkles, and it doesn't make one better than the other. I'd imagine it makes it hard for the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And I never felt like we saw a Dana Holgerson offense. And that might be foolish to say, but when Satterfield moved aside. What was he, tight ends coach? Yeah,
Yep.
tight ends coach. I was like, okay, we'll see what it looks like. And it kind of just felt like the same thing with a few more wrinkles, but I didn't like notice a huge difference in how the offense operated.
Yeah, I feel like you never saw with Holgerson. I always thought of him as a little bit more maybe of an air raid guy, which maybe Raiola just didn't have the time for them to, him to drop back in the pocket and continuously just air it out. But yeah, I feel like they were extremely similar. And when Nebraska's offense honestly was doing well, it was a lot of checkdowns. It was a lot of, eye back power and just letting Emmett Johnson run, inside the tackles or even have him spread out a little bit. And that was pretty much what the offense was. I'd like to see, we saw it with Indiana's defense is how just like dual threat that offense was.
Mm-hmm.
They ran the ball down Miami's throat yesterday, some drives, and Miami had nothing to do about it. And then here comes a Fernando Mendoza back shoulder fade. I think just kind of like it's Nebraska. I would love to see a little bit more of we'll run it down your throat, we'll wear out your defense, and then we're going to go over the top or we're going to get a 20-yard gain out of nowhere, and we're just going to kill all your confidence. I don't think there was many times this year where Nebraska's offense was so demanding that opposing defenses were like, oh, this is terrible.
Yeah, and we just also, when we get those superstars, and it goes back to development, we got to do a better job of just feeding those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Big players make big plays. It's why Mendoza was awesome. It was why I thought Bain for Miami was giving them opportunities. And for Nebraska, yeah, the tight end room, it just felt like it's just criminally underutilized.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about a quarterback who's getting sacked all the time, and we talk about, pass protection, and man, our wide receivers can't get open. Let's just start getting it to the tight end. Those are really easy throws. Get your guy in rhythm. I could go out there and go find a soft spot in the zone and just sit there. Now, once I get hit, it'll probably come flying out of my hands because I'm not built like those guys, but I can go identify a soft spot to sit, or if it's a drag, Dylan Raiola or TJ Lateef, they're good enough just to sit there and wait for it to eventually come open. And with Dylan Raiola, that was one of the things that was most surprising with him. And like, he's a great passer. You just get some of these wide receivers, tight ends to understand how to find those soft spots in zones. I think we can have a lot of success, but I think that kind of goes to the disappointment of a wide receiver room just hasn't quite taken off. It wasn't that long ago. We're looking at there. It's like, man, we got Lloyd, Coleman's coming up in the works. We had Isaiah Nayor. You had some veterans in there. It felt like that was going to take off, and it just hasn't been the case whatsoever. What's been more surprising, the lack of wide receiver production or just the instability that we've had at quarterback? I guess let's go both in hand.
Yeah, I think it's both very similar. Yeah,
if one's playing bad, the other's going to play bad.
Yeah, and that's the same thing. And I feel like, we haven't, the last just guy receiver that was just was Trey Palmer. Remember when we would just watch
the Purdue game?
Yeah.
He had over 300 yards receiving or something unreal. And who was the quarterback? Is it Thompson?
I think it was Casey Thompson, yeah. And it was just watching that.
We should have kept him, maybe.
Yeah. Same with Wan'Dale Robinson. He eventually left, unfortunately, but just guys that you could just get the ball to and make things happen were so exciting.
And get him to him in the right way.
We
did that with Palmer. With Wan'Dale, it's like, you want to run it up the middle between the guard and center?
Yeah,
no. Why would we ever put him in that situation?
We actually just need to give you the ball right here, so here you go. Just hand it off. But no, I think there's so many ways to get. You think of Malachi Toney yesterday for Miami. He just got the ball on screen passes, even if it was slants, or even he got some downfield, and he was just so open. And it was just they draw up plays for their guys. Maybe it's not going to be every receiver is going to get all the yards that they want, but if you have one guy that you really should get the ball because he can make plays, you got to find a better way for that to happen.
Yeah, and it's not complicated. They did a really good job with Emmett Johnson. He's a great player. Let's get him in space. And then Emmett Johnson took really, great advantage of that, and that's why he first team All Big Ten.
Yep.
Yeah, first team All Big Ten. Him and I believe he's the Notre Dame running back, but an incredible year, and a lot of that was just getting the ball in space. Dylan Raiola profited a lot off of it. TJ Lateef on those yak yards were just quick, even if it's, you're going to put, if you notice it's man, you put a bunch of guys, just send them on deep routes, and then you just dump it underneath. Emmett Johnson absolutely worked with that all year long. So things like that, always a little bit perplexing to see, how this thing's all going to shape together. Augie off the text line again, talking about the lack of continuity. It's the dang old carousel. You're not wrong about that. The carousel seems to be more and more tempting, not just for Nebraska coaches and players, but for every coach and player across the country. And then 8985. Again, talking about when Dana Holgerson took over from Satterfield, did that offense really look any different? He goes on to say it was the same thing because they were still running Satterfield's offense. It was just Holgerson calling plays, which I don't know if I've heard anything on that, but it makes sense.
It makes sense. I mean, you can't change anything mid-season, but even going into this year, it still felt like
That's where I was surprised.
Yeah, it didn't seem like there was a huge. I would like to see maybe a little bit more of a spread offense, and then, you know, especially if you do now have a quarterback that can run the ball a little bit, create more of, you know, like John Harbaugh just got fired, but like kind of like a Ravens-esque offense where you have a running back that you can hand it to, but then you have a quarterback that can make some things happen, and you have weapons on the outside. Like, spread it out and make defenses have to guard multiple things rather than just stop Emmett Johnson.
Yeah, because that was a game plan, I think, for the last 4 teams that we played in the season, right? Because it's Penn State, Iowa. No, did we have another game? What was before Iowa? I'm blanking on it.
UCLA. You won the UCLA one, and then, well, it was UCLA, Penn State, Iowa.
Okay, that's what
Utah.
it was. Yeah, so 3 really, really tough losses at the end of the year. But nonetheless, we look onward. Maybe we'll win the offseason again, although I think people are a little bit more cautious. We'll talk some NFL playoffs on the other side. We got to throw it to break here, but as everyone anticipated, the AFC, it's the Broncos versus the Patriots, and it's Stidham's Broncos versus Drake May's Patriots, and then, of course, the Seattle Seahawks, and then the Rams on the other side. 2 teams that maybe people could have picked out. Don't go anywhere. This is Ticket Weeknights. Harrison Arns, Tristan Gomez. We will talk to you guys in a little bit.
This is Alexander Fern, the voice of the Lincoln Stars, telling you to join the Stars Saturday, January 24th at the Icebox for our annual Aubrey Brown Club night. The Stars are at home to take on the Omaha Lancers at 6 p.m. Proceeds from the night will go toward a great cause. The Aubrey Brown Club is a local foundation that helps parents through the tragedy of child loss. The Stars will be wearing special jerseys that will be auctioned off following the game. And don't miss a great night for a great cause at the Icebox, Saturday, January 24th. Tickets are available at LincolnStars.com. Proceeds from the night will be donated to the Aubrey Brown Club.
Are you tired of living in pain? At Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, they make it simple. From head to toe, spine to extremities, they've got you covered. Their multi-specialty team of experts in orthopedic surgery, plastic surgery, podiatry, physical therapy, and occupational therapy all work under one roof to get you back to living life pain-free. Don't wait another day. Visit prairie-ortho.com today or call them at 402-489-4700. Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, where healing begins.
Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services is here to help you protect things that are most important to you. Whether it's your home, your family, or your future, Jack Russell has the proven experience to get the job done while developing authentic relationships with you. Give Jack a call today at 402-421-9100. Again, that's 402-421-9100. Or visit one of his 2 locations in Lincoln or Seward and learn how you can excel in the complicated world of insurance. Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, a trusted and well-respected representative since 1999.
Every winter, I struggle with feeling sluggish and down. I've read about the benefits of red light systems, but trying the Spectrum 7 at MaxTan has become my bright spot. A few sessions of full-body red light, and I'm more energized and centered. It's my go-to winter boost, MaxTan.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription, or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Husker Nation, the countdown is on for the biggest women's basketball event of the year, PAC PBA, coming up January 24th. This year, we're heating things up with the Big Red Beach Party. Watch your Huskers take on Big Ten opponent Illinois, decked out in your best tropical gear, with a specialty tropical drink in hand, all inside Pinnacle Bank Arena. PAC PBA is your tropical getaway right here in Lincoln. Get your tickets today at huskers.com/PACPBA.
Way out there where the sun comes up under the big red sky, I do life the way I love, with family by my side. I feel home with me, no matter where I go.
Proud of where we're from, excited for where we're going. Pinnacle Bank, the way banking should be. Member FDIC.
This is your year to win way more than bragging rights. At Warhorse Casino, your love of the game could earn you serious cash. The Pro Football Frenzy is free to play with cash prizes all season long, like up to $1,000 weekly, with your chance at $1 million, all while earning tier points and comp points every time you place a sports bet. Only at Warhorse Casino. Wagers may only be placed on Nebraska-based teams when played outside the state of Nebraska. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
Change begins with you. Join a weight loss medication study at Solarion and earn cash in the process. If you are 19 to 65 years old with excess weight to lose, you may qualify. Participants could earn up to $22,750 for their time. Study includes 1 2-night stay, 1 3-night stay, and 38 returns. Learn more at helpresearch.com/flamingo or call 866-213-2965. Weight loss not guaranteed.
Back to the Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back. Final segment. As promised, now we'll talk some NFL because it's been a lot of fun. My dream season has come to an end. Your Packers came to the end even earlier, so I didn't lose all that much. That being said, though, Seahawks, Rams in the NFC, and then the Broncos, Patriots. Stidham's Broncos. What are you seeing in this? We'll start with the less chaos. We'll start in the NFC. Number 1 Seahawks versus the number 5 Rams.
Yeah, the Seahawks were unbelievable against the Niners. I think it was, kind of just one of those games that starts out with a kickoff return at home for the Seahawks, and they just had all the momentum, and they never left. They was just like, all right, this is our game to take. They actually could have kicked the extra point, so they made the extra point, and then they didn't have to score again the rest of the game, and they still would have won.
That's a good point. They just needed that opening
but they just
kickoff touchdown.
Yeah, and they just dominated the entire game. And then I think for the Rams, probably coming off, a few, bruises after that one in Chicago. That's just a brutal game to play in. But I think this is going to be I think it's going to be a pretty high scoring game. I remember when they played on Thursday night a couple weeks ago. It was supposed to be a crazy windy game, and they were still away. I just am thinking fantasy wise, Puka put up like 40. Matthew Stafford put up 45. It was just an unbelievable game.
He does good against zone, and the Broncos will play a lot of zone.
The Seahawks.
Or excuse me, the
Seahawks will play a lot of zone. So I think I want the Rams, but after seeing how well this Seahawks defense plays, I think it's, especially at home, it's going to be a really tough one for the Rams.
Vikings got to be kicking rocks.
Yeah. I was always a fan of Sam Darnold. I
think the majority was. I think there was more people like, what are you doing?
Like even Vikings fans, I thought after Sam Darnold had that season that he had last year where he got Justin Jefferson the ball every single game, they were like, oh, this could be our guy. And I think you just, you draft J.J. McCarthy so high and you put your eggs in the basket and that one you go, this is the guy that we expected to, be the starter. And yeah, Vikings fans can't be happy.
It's a horrible move. I'll say it, and I understand you got to figure out the contracts, but you just make that work. Like when you find a guy, we talk about in the NFL, locking down that position is one of the hardest things to do. And then you find a guy, and it's like, oh, we'll see what's in the mystery box. Maybe we got a guy.
There's so many.
You just had one.
There's so few really consistent good quarterbacks in the NFL. So yeah, when you find one, don't just think the grass is always greener. Right? Maybe it's because his name is Sam Darnold, and you didn't think he was going to be this consistent. But after what you've seen with the Seahawks this whole season, they win the NFC West, and you just go, well, we were just last in the NFC North. So yeah,
actually Lions. Or no, I see what you're saying. Yeah. No, it's absolutely crazy. But it was Sam Darnold. It wasn't even like he didn't give you a ton of moments. Like he put up a season that was statistically better than anything Cousins had did.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good sample size. And throughout an entire course of the season, you got a lot of tape on him just being awesome. So, like I said, the Vikings kicking themselves, but I'm with you. I think the Seahawks are probably the favorite in the NFC and maybe the entire thing. Number 1 Broncos, number 2 Patriots. This one was chalk on the AFC side. What do you like in this?
I like the Patriots. I think Drake May's going to be the guy in this game. I do think if Denver does have a chance, it's going to come down to their defense. Their defense has been playing pretty well all year, and you saw what the Texans did if CJ Stroud doesn't have all those turnovers, which a few of them weren't on him, but all those turnovers don't happen, the Texans have a really good shot. And that's just because their defense put a whole bunch of pressure on that Patriots offense, and no one on that offense could get it going. Playing at home for the Broncos, I think, could be big time. Do I think Jarrett Stidham has it in him? If he doesn't turn the ball over, maybe. I like the Broncos in this one. Hot take. But I'm taking the Broncos at home.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you there. I think I'll take the Broncos, which is crazy.
I don't know
I get
why
like
I'm
Nick Foles vibes a little bit.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna have a Stidham year, like when we had the Foles year, where that was the Patriots. Tom Brady.
Stidham expected to start. Like he was pretty upset when Bo Nix got the start as a rookie. He was like, "Wait, this is my job." So he has that dog mentality that he should be the guy, and it's his time to prove it.
Should be a lot of fun. We'll certainly be here to talk about it all after it happens. Again, not too far away, February 8th, and we're at the Super Bowl already. But of course, we got a few more divisional rounds. We got the AFC versus the NFC. Don't go anywhere, though. We'll keep it rolling. Tick of weeknights. Shout out to Tristan Gomez hanging around for an extra hour. Big Red Birdies, Mackenzie Bream, and Arden Lockheim coming up next. 93.7 The Ticket, ticketfm.com.